I'm Alfred Lambermont Weber, and we're here on Exopolitics TV with whistleblower Aaron McCollum, who is a Project Camelot witness. Welcome, Aaron.
Thank you, Alfred, for having me.
Well, Aaron, we have reviewed all of the material that you have brought to us on this particular breaking story. And the way that we've summarized it, which is the tentative title of our interview and also of the breaking news story, is quote, whistleblower exposes attempted ET manipulation and false flag at quote festival. Do you think that that's a fair summary of all of the material that you've brought us that we've reviewed and that you'll be presenting our audience with in this interview?
I would say so. I have definitely multiple concerns about this festival, which we can get into at another time. And I've shared that with you off camera privately and with other people that are very knowledgeable in certain fields. But as far as the biggest concern, because of a lot of things that have happened this year so far and late last year, the the false flag, if you will, of some kind of ET off-planet contact that what was shared with was their idea of this festival. A part of what was going to happen in this festival is a huge concern because of what was specifically shared with me by a member of the planning committee who basically had recruited me to play a key part in it.
Good.
Um,
I'm going
so,
to jump in here and just
sure.
say that we're talking about the Festival of Enlightenment
Yes.
on June 23rd, scheduled for June 13th to 19th, 2011, in Colorado. Um,
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you in a sec about the location, which is
Sure.
organized by an organization called Smiling Word. And it's on the internet at www.festivalofenlightenment.com. That's the festivalofenlightenment.com. Where in Colorado is this scheduled to be held?
It's scheduled to be held in a small town about 23 miles uh, southwest of Denver in a town called Evergreen, Colorado. That also incorporates another concern of mine. Like I said, there's many, many reasons that concern me about this festival, but again, we can get into that later on if you want me to. But it's a small area where there's only three ways in and out. There's only three roads in, three roads out, and with they're already predicting that there's going to be 50,000 plus attendance from all over the country and other parts of the world that are going to be attending this festival. And with having 250 speakers, musicians, artists, and so forth that are headlining this thing for 7 days and 7 nights. They're already claiming it's going to be bigger than Live Aid or Live 8. It's basically the Woodstock version of an Enlightenment type of festival. But as we will get into this, there seems to be a much more, unfortunately, darker side to what is going on. The intentions are not what they seem on the surface.
And in fact, they're in final negotiations as of today, December 27th, with Sir Bob Geldof,
Yeah.
who was the producer of Live Aid.
Mm-hmm.
And a knight, Sir Bob Geldof, is knighted by the Queen of England, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, good. So uh, you've submitted a statement to us, which will be including in its in complete detail in an Examiner.com article that accompanies this interview. How was it that you were approached by representatives of this Festival of Enlightenment?
Well, basically, I received an email. The person who, because I'm not quite sure that the person who contacted me, who's on the planning committee, is truly aware of the greater picture. So because of that, I feel it's only right to protect that person's name, because who knows what could happen. But what I did do was take the direct email that I had between myself and this person. I just blacked out their name and their contact information. But this person has their own show on Blog Talk. So while I was still doing my show on Blog Talk, that's how we initially got connected. And this person even asked me to be a guest on their show on February 6th of next year. I'm not sure if that's still going to be the case because of this. Hopefully so. But because in my Blog Talk show, I had my email posted on there. So it was public record. Anyone could get a hold of my email. So this person contacted me and had attached me to an email between the person and actually and to Bill Moore, one of the co-organizers of the festival. So this guy
and Bill Moore, I've read both the marketing kit that's sent to advertisers. He and his wife have what, 80 years combined experience in marketing to Fortune 500 companies.
That's correct.
Okay.
And have ties with such companies as Halliburton, and well, that's a whole nother show.
Okay.
Just with that ties alone. But so just to get back at this real quick, and this was on this was on December 8th is when the initial contact was made by email. And the significance of this email was that he had a brief email interaction with Bob Moore. So this guy was in contact with one of the organizers, and then forwarded the email with his own addition saying, I could bring up the email, but he said something to the extent of that they wanted me to be a part of the, in fact, I have it right here. I don't need to get into it, but basically they wanted me. It says, I would love to talk to you about being a speaker at this event and forward your info to the creators of it, who have the final word. I am in the planning team for the event, and then signs away at it. I was able to just bring up the email. So then basically, now of course, initially, without looking into it, I said, well, speaking event, well, that's just a way for me to get, to speak with more people on a one-to-one basis. So initially I said, well, it sounds like a great idea. Then I looked briefly through the website and immediately something seemed wrong, but I kind of just put that on the shelf because I wanted to talk to this person directly, which I did on the phone. And the phone conversation was nothing of what I expected. I expected this person, to basically describe to me more in detail what the festival is about and say, we want you to speak about your experiences and how you've grown, and maybe just expressed how, which I've done on many shows where, listen, I was not a good person. I did all this bad stuff, but through this way and this way and that way, I've learned to turn things around. Instead, what I'm shared with, which is in the statement that I sent you, and so I'll be brief about it. Basically, I was being recruited to initially do a few webinars, which I guess are like seminars via the web, through whatever means, some video webinars with selected children, with children that either have been chosen through however means, and that I would talk to them and basically guide them for preparation for ascension. this is what I was being told on the phone. I only wish I could have, at that point, had some means to record the phone call, because all I can do is give you what I've shared and then the absolute evidence via email and everything else. But what this person said was that, and this is what I found interesting, Alfred. The person told me that the organizers weren't interested in going too much on the side of metaphysical with this festival. However, when you look at the whole website, as I'm sure you have, and other people like my friend Robert Morningstar, UFO Magazine, and others that I asked for their advice on this, the whole thing has nothing but a metaphysical feel to it. So what this person told me is that there was a group within the Festival of Enlightenment that their objective, their mission was, because they were in contact with Pleiadians, and that I would be basically prepping these children, raising their vibrations, getting ready for ascension. And during a certain climatic point of this festival, that we would somehow form like a circle or something with me, with all these children, these young children of various ages, and that through some kind of ceremonial process or whatever, Pleiadian ships would be overhead and would uncloak. Those are the exact words this person told me, that the ships would uncloak and that this would be the beginning of a true ascension. Now, that sounds all fine and dandy, but what does that leave the rest of the story? Where do we go from there? So, without jumping around too much, I was a bit puzzled, and frankly, I was a bit shocked. I didn't know even what to say. So I simply told him, I was very nice, and I said, you know what? I need to look things over. Give me a day, and I will reply to you. That very night, I spent several hours, more than that. I pretty much the whole night looking in the website. I looked at every single speaker, every single one. I looked at their background, and you know me, Alfred. When I dig deep, and then I found other things. And then when I put all the pieces together, it seemed apparent to me that they were targeting a certain kind of person, a person with a certain kind of mindset. And then now to talk about having some kind of off-planet rescue operation, which is basically, in a roundabout way, is what he was telling me. Because some children would be chosen, some would be staying, there would be different layers. This phone conversation went on for probably about half an hour. But it all revolved around me guiding these children so that the Pleiadians decide that they can uncloak, and basically it would be our salvation. Now, I've said this very boldly before, which many have disagreed with, but when it comes down to who's going to save this planet, I've always said, and I stick by it, that ultimately it's up to the human race to take back this planet and to make things right. And then once that takes place, I have no doubt that benevolent beings will want to work alongside of us. But they're making it sound like the cavalry. So where does this lead? False hope. Creating enough holographic imagery these days is pretty amazing. Just the other day, my wife and I were looking at this display that's done at this place in Japan. It's like a laser light show where they had this holographic image of the Loch Ness Monster, and it's this light show anyone can find on YouTube, and the thing looks real. These people have access to what seems to me possibly unlimited funding that they're not necessarily displaying on their website. Of course, they have PayPal, they're looking for donations, but when they are looking at getting this into the media, all mainstream media, which they have listed, as you saw in that one brochure, with Fox, NBC, CNN, having ties with some of the biggest corporations around the world, And this will be better seen once the article and this video comes out and more information I'm able to present. It all comes down to this. Besides all the other problems I'm seeing with this, is almost a Project Bluebeam type of event. And it seems, as I have now titled it, the Illuminati Festival of Enlightenment, the truth movement has had strong infiltration since the 60s when the FBI created COINTELPRO. And they've just become more advanced, more clever, more brilliant. This is a very brilliant execution that would cause a major blow in the true truth movement, the true enlightened movement. So that's, I don't want to go off too track.
No, right. Now, let me ask you a couple of questions that relate directly to this, to the Project Bluebeam or ET manipulation or manipulation of human minds around the ET concept or around or the creation of a false flag event.
Sure.
In terms of the placement of this event in Colorado at that location, I know that in our preliminary conversations, you were describing U.S. defense facilities around in that area that would be useful as far as the infrastructure of a Project Bluebeam or a false flag operation. Could you go over some of those now?
Yes, I can. In fact, Alfred, I don't remember if I sent it to you, and if I didn't, I'll send it to you. The little map.
We will put that up as part of the project of the article. Yeah.
The Google Earth map thing I did.
Yeah.
Okay, very good.
Yeah, but talk to us about it now.
Yes, I'm going to do that right now. So there are a couple of other things that concern me that all tie in together. Now I'm going to speak to you from a person who has vast experience in the military and black projects. And of course, this is also incorporated in the statement that I wrote to you. I had a person I know who was part of a military project that was deeply involved in a lot of things. This person was deeply involved in a lot, and it's this person now lives in Boulder, Colorado. I had sent this friend of mine, again, the website to the Festival of Enlightenment, expressed my concern, said, could you look into this? Because I always utilize people that are in my network of intel. And this friend of mine, she's one of them. She immediately responded back, and she was in contact with some people that were private contractors that we've got a lot of contract jobs for the military that were working on a facility just outside of Colorado Springs, the military base down there. It was a place out in the middle of nowhere where construction had began immensely at the beginning of this year and then suddenly just stopped. It stopped, and these contractors, their contract ran out. It just stopped. And then it was only a matter of a few weeks later that construction and military equipment, everything built up really big there. So my friend went to go look at it, and it was absolutely all the signs of continuous underground, deep underground military-based construction going on. And as many people, I'm sure, follow you or listen to any of your programs are aware of, I'm sure they're aware of deep underground military bases. And if they are, then they would know that Colorado holds some of the biggest, actually the biggest in the country. So why does this concern me? Evergreen, Colorado is in a very strategically placed location if you are in the military and you see this as an opportunity. Let me backtrack for a second. I'll be quick. We're in desperate times now. That's just a fact. The police state of this country is growing, not just here but around the world. The financial situation is in complete distress. There's a lot going on, so people that are in the truth movement or in the movement for further enlightenment, some on a greater scale are becoming desperate. They're wanting things to escalate. So when something like the Festival of Enlightenment comes, they're going to jump on it. So this Festival of Enlightenment feeds a need that is urgent. So people are going to jump to this without looking into it. They're going to leap before they really think. I'm not saying I'm not mad at those people. It's just basic human nature. They're going to grab onto it because it's safety and security, and it's what they've been waiting their whole life for, because that's what they're making it sound like. This is the moment to wait for their own life for. And of course, I don't want to jump around again, but there's a lot of people that are speaking at this thing that deal with NLP and other mind control things. But again, we can get into that another time. So let me get back to the military. So anyways, you draw on a lot of people. A lot of people are drawn into a very small area in the mountains with only 3 ways to get in and out, small roads, 2-lane roads. Now, if I'm General so-and-so, and I have some really evil intentions, and I want there to be a fake type of alien contact. Let me just say this. This gives the perfect opportunity to round up a lot of people and either take them or help the manipulation of massive mind control, of false hope. There's a lot of opportunities because, as you know, Alfred, the military is very opportunistic. They will take such opportunities as hurricanes, natural disasters, or even genuine attacks, and they will twist them for their own needs. Evergreen, Colorado. I'm just going to be very point to point here. It's 63 miles south of Fort Collins, major military installation. It's 66 miles north of Colorado Springs. Where would I put something, or where would I allow something to take place? I would triangulate it. It's what we call in the military is triangulation. You triangulize the whole thing. So you've got Fort Collins above, Colorado Springs below. You have nothing but high elevation mountains on one side. To the west, you have Denver. The east side, which for International, which has a major underground facility there. This place is surrounded. Now, some people may say, Aaron, this sounds a little extreme, but I'm not saying that the military is going to go in and round up all these people and swipe them, but you have to look at the absolute evidence in itself is very troubling. So, there's a lot more to this than what, again, is on the surface.
Now, so they asked you, in effect, to come in and be a go-between between the sort of the crystal kids, they call them starseed children, and the quote Pleiadians. Now, the Pleiadians could just be either black budget U.S. personnel masquerading as ETs in what they call MILABs, military abductions, or they could be people in black budget UFOs, or this could be a holographic scene, or it could be just some kind of scam, correct?
It could be a scam, and that's the thing. This is the problem, is that, frankly, I don't know 100% because because that's their idea. What could take place is either this organization, because if you have the right amount of money and the right kind of sources and contacts, it's not too hard to acquire the proper machinery to project very advanced, very realistic holographic imagery. Or we could look at it this way. The military finds out, the shadow government finds out, which I'm sure they already know about this, and they themselves, let's just say this. Let's say that this section of the Plan Committee indeed has good intentions. Let's just say that they do. I'm not leaning towards that. Let's just say that they have good intentions. That will not stop the government, if they wanted to bring in black op above top secret technology craft or their own holographic and take advantage. Remember, the military is very opportunistic. They could use this as an opportunity to benefit them. Project Bluebeam is and always has been kind of a last-ditch operation in the greater scheme of things. And because of this financial collapse and because of everything, and already this past year, I've seen a lot of things, of footage of things that people were claiming were this or that, of this off-planet race. And after my own personal analysis and just from my experience, I knew that it was actually military craft. It just seems that there's been some dry runs, you could say, of Project Bluebeam type of events. And 2011, I mean, the clock is running down up to 2012, and I don't know. I'm greatly concerned about it. I am greatly concerned, and yes, for me to be almost this ambassador, if you will, the middleman that, excuse me, prepares the children to meet the enlightened ones, troubles me. And the other thing too, Alfred, is that, as I say in the statement, I only recognized right off the bat 3 of the speakers at this event. The speakers have credentials that are very elitist. There isn't one person on the roster that is anywhere close to the category that I fit in. I mean, I'm a pretty, I guess in the truth movement, I'm kind of a roughneck, and that's fine, And you saw the roster of speakers. I stick out like a sore thumb. So I find it interesting. My wife even had a theory, and a few others had a theory. And again, this is just a theory that maybe there was more to it than what I'm seeing of why they asked me. And my wife, basically, she came out and she said, Aaron, perhaps they asked you because you've been speaking the truth for so long now, and that perhaps this is a form of them attempting to recruit you. As you know, Alfred, there have been people out there that started out as whistleblowers, light workers, whatever you want to call them, that unfortunately somewhere along the road were compromised. But I'll be darned if I'm going to be compromised. So that is a theory that I've considered, but I try to be careful with it.
Now, let me go to another area briefly, and that is looking at it from the extraterrestrial perspective. And,
Sure.
And I'm not asking you to adopt any theories at all. I've been covering an area, and that's the area of a reported regional galactic governance authority with the Pleiadians and the Alpha Centaurians, the Syrians, the Bootes Greys, and others that have been reported by a colleague of mine who's now deceased. We had independent reports that his pancreatic cancer was accelerated by external agencies in order to silence him. He died recently. And also, there was a follow-up independent communication, apparently from this council, through a whistleblower who was formerly with a NATO and Spanish intelligence agency. They told him that there was going to be UFO sightings over New York on October 24th, and there were. And through Stan
Uh,
Fulham, he spent 10 years in communication with this regional council, wrote a 350-page book, which I've read, which gives extensive plans that the council states, if all this information is true, that they plan to do in order to correct the Earth's ecology, which is in the process of collapse.
right.
And that information is widely available and has been reported on in the world news. So that they state that they're planning to clean the Earth's ecology, that they would that there's going to be tremendous shifts between now and 2014, the collapse of the old order, the collapse of the old financial order, and emergence of a new sustainable way of living. They would be speaking perhaps at the United Nations 2014, but nothing like, coming over a festival and interacting with some kids and ascending them. I mean, that's just like outside of what is going on here, where they're trying to save a species and a planet. So it seems like this is some kind of cooked up thing. I mean, that would it not seem to you that what you are being enrolled in is, I mean, it's contrary to what the purported extraterrestrials are saying. I'm not asking you to adopt to say whether you think that's correct or not, but B, I mean, ETs don't do that. Don't do that kind of thing. They aren't like hired entertainment for a festival, I guess is what I'm saying.
No, they're not gonna. They're not gonna pop out of the curtain like Elvis Presley with his guitar. No, this is completely. This is ludicrous. This is insane. What they're saying. It's. But the problem
Yeah.
is that this is so dangerous
Isn't
because
that basically one of the things of mind control, where you put out a big lie like that, and people get looped into that big lie, and then you get everybody hallucinated into that, and then you get 50,000 people hallucinated into, oh yeah, they're going to come to this festival. Oh yeah, these people arranged that for this festival with the ETs. Wow, man. I mean, that that is ultimate manipulation. That's a false flag. Weren't you being
it is
enrolled into that kind of mind controlled mega manipulation for profit here? I mean, isn't that something that, those companies that you were mentioning, uh, the oil company would do?
this could be by far the greatest blow to the the truth movement and the movement for true enlightenment ever in modern times. 50,000 plus attendance is what they're guessing. Another thing that I've discussed before in the past is that what the elites are aware of and what they've used for really thousands of years, the greatest form, the greatest method to mind control on a large scale, a massive amount of people, is fear. This is why 9/11 works so effectively. Another method that works very well in controlling a massive amount of people with mind control is promising hope, promising a better life. Motivational speakers use it all the time. They know that people are desperate right now for something greater than what they are. They're 7 days, 7 nights, and the price of the ticket $777. I mean, come on, give me a break. What scares me is that people will liquidate. People are going to perhaps spend money that they were going to spend on gold coin and gold and silver coins or food storage. You're going to spend on this because this is going to save them. Then you're going to get all these people together, and it's a giant melting pot of causing this massive mind control, because all these people are so worried about what's to come that they're going to leech onto this. And like, they're going to come out empty-handed.
That's not the way that ETs behave.
No,
i.e.,
absolutely.
you were being asked to do something that was manipulatory
Yes.
and fraudulent.
Yes. Yeah.
So it was exopolitical fraud, basically.
This is a complete fraud. This is a fraud, but it's also a giant onion. There's many layers to this, Alfred. There are many layers. As I said, there's a military side that you could look at, that we should consider, that the military could take this as a major opportunity. The other thing, too, which I didn't even mention yet, was that people of recent years in the truth movement, people that are members of like We Are Change and all that, a lot of them have been labeled as domestic terrorists. Is this going to be targeted by the Department of Homeland Security as a threat? And then what will be implemented based on this? So this also poses risk to people on a larger scale that may not even believe in any of this stuff. It's that the old thing where if you punish you punish everyone if one person screws up or does one thing wrong. This is a powder keg that has such potential for so many bad things. I can't even begin to express how concerned I am about this. But of course, the biggest thing is causing this false hope of this, the Pleiadians coming and uncloaking their ship, and then, excuse me, they could have asked so many different people, yet I'm the one that's asked to be this ambassador of enlightenment between the children and the Pleiadians. And as people read the statement, of course, I'm still looking further into this, but there's just so much. The whole thing stinks, Alfred. It just stinks, and I don't like it.
Now, I just want to wind this up here.
Sure.
With a couple of brief questions.
Okay.
This is going out into the mainstream media. This will be on Google News and will be accessible to all of the mainstream media.
Yes.
What will happen when the Festival of Enlightenment and Smiling World denies all of this and says, this is not what this is about at all. This was not authorized. This was just one person that might have had a conversation, and this is being taken out of context. What do you think is going on when that response comes out of there?
Same thing that happened with probably the very first person that spoke out and said that 9/11 was an inside job. It'll become a huge internet buzz. I'll be labeled as yet again another controversial person speaking. There'll be a lot of people within this Enlightenment group, a lot of the people that may have supported me before that may not support me now. I could become, as I told you, the number one. I could become on the most wanted list of unlikable people in the truth movement. That's fine, because, as I've always stated, I'm not doing this to make friends, and I'm not doing this to become popular. I'm simply stating the facts. This person is on the planning committee. I have an email between him and Bill Moore that verifies that. I'm just simply doing my part because I feel that people, and as I say in the statement, I invite everyone to look into it themselves. Could this tarnish my reputation? I don't really care, because, as I've always said, I'm going to do my part to get out the facts. And everything that I have said today is a fact. Everything. So if people want to be angry at me, if the Festival of Enlightenment comes out, makes some public statement that everything I've said is wrong, well, as I said in my email back to this person, a member of the planning committee, I am more than happy to speak with the organizers about my participation in the event. And by the way, I sent this email out about 2 weeks ago and have yet to get a reply. So either this person was so angry with me that they decided they did not want to reply, or they were advised not to reply, or perhaps one little thing in my email to them triggered something and they realized, oh my gosh, I didn't see it like that. And maybe they themselves have decided to step away from it.
Okay. Now, second question.
Yes.
There is this tremendous, you've presented, and certainly in reviewing the material that you've presented, we at Exopolitics TV have grave concerns about the potential for this event as a manipulatory event using ETs for manipulation and also the creation of a potential blue beam or false flag event, with all of the resources in the Colorado area triangulated around the various military establishments there. What specific steps do you think that those of us who are in the truth movement and who are, watch all of this and are involved in the broader movement, what specific steps do you think we should take about the Festival of Enlightenment so that all of this is diffused and this ceases to be a threat?
Well,
for 2011.
The first thing that I suggest is, of course, as I stated before, I encourage everybody to, not just look at I've suggested people in the past to say, well, look at this website and tell me what seems wrong with it. And I've had people just like open up the homepage and go, oh, looks fine. That's not enough. So I encourage everybody who's going to watch this interview and read my statement that you're going to be posting, which I really do appreciate very much, Alfred, is to, when you get on the Festival of Enlightenment website, dig into it. Look at every single portion, start from front to back, literally, of the website. And then when you look at the guests that are speaking, click on their names, which will go to their websites, and read what they do. And also, when you get on the website and you look at the list of speakers, ask yourself a question. How many of them have you heard of? I've been involved deeply in the truth movement as a whistleblower for over a year now. And I'm involved with a network of some pretty well-known people. And with the research I do, I was actually quite surprised at most people I hadn't heard of. Really surprised. But then when you find out that a lot of them are working with stuff like NLP, which I don't approve of at all, and you look at some of the work they're doing, and then you look at some of the companies and corporations that they're associated with, it all leads to a very suspicious thing. So first thing, research it for yourself and see what it reads to you. Then, if you feel the same way I do, that you do, Alfred, that others, I strongly suggest you express your concerns and share with others within the truth movement. Spread it out. Get the information out. And of course, let everyone make their own decision. Because frankly, when you have a festival that is working very hard to get such speakers as Bono of U2, oh, I could go in on that. I mean, the guy rubs elbows with the elite, and his charity organization has been under investigation off and on. And then you have Sir Richard Branson, another person knighted by the Queen, who is the CEO of Virgin, who I don't remember ever reading an article of him at any point showing interest or involved in any kind of enlightenment or truth movement thing. Why would they have one of the richest men in the world speaking at this event? What does he have to offer? So,
okay, but I,
spread around.
yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I just want to get us back on the point here,
Yeah.
and the point was, as we said, that uh, you approached us, and we have been studying because you were approached by this Festival of Enlightenment for what
Hmm.
appears to be an attempted extraterrestrial manipulation, false flag, or blue beam event at the Festival of Enlightenment. And at Exopolitics TV, that is our focus. All
Right.
this other stuff where people use NLP or they use this or that or they've got lots of money, that's a secondary issue.
Right.
That our concern is is the potential for either a blue beam, large scale psychological manipulatory event, or a or a or a false flag event, and you've presented, in our judgment, sufficient evidence of that.
Oh,
And
the
from
potential's definitely there.
yeah, and from that perspective, what do you
Okay.
think people should do?
Well, okay. From that perspective, one thing and one thing only. Uh, Encourage people not to go. Don't support it. Uh, Stay away from it. Keep an eye on it, but don't attend. And if a person is going to attend, or if they know someone that's going to attend and nothing is going to persuade them differently, if you're going to go, then I advise you to please, please proceed with absolute caution. I have something I refer to as my gut feeling. Others call it their sixth sense or the third eye. My gut feeling has never led me astray. I wouldn't be where I'm at now without listening to my gut feeling. And I'm telling you, Alfred, my gut feeling tells me that something big is going to go on at this Festival of Enlightenment. And, let me just say this, and this isn't by any means bragging, but when I said some things at the beginning of this year that were going to take place throughout the year, and everything that I said on my very first Project Camelot video has come to surface now. So unfortunately, my track record has been pretty good, although I wish it hadn't been. So that's the thing that I suggest. Don't go. Don't go, and encourage others not to go.
Fair enough, and you're doing it on personal safety grounds.
I'm doing it because I'm concerned about the safety of every man, woman, and child that could go.
Yeah.
And not just, I'm not saying that they're physically endangered, but I believe that their mindset is very much, could be compromised if they go to this.
Right. Okay, and just to be clear, we're talking about the Festival of Enlightenment, which is being held from June 13th to 19th, 2011. That's when it's being advertised in Evergreen, Colorado, being
Yes.
put on by Smiling World, and its website is www.festivalofenlightenment.com. Well, we've come to the end of this segment. We really appreciate your coming to us with this information and this story. I know that it's the first of many future stories that Exopolitics TV will be doing with you, and with the vast amount of information and breaking stories that you have. We've been with Aaron McCollum, who is a whistleblower and a Project Camelot witness. And thank you for joining us. Where can people reach you now and find out more about your work?
Well, I went off the grid for a bit there. As far as I'm not on Facebook anymore, and I'm not part of the Universal Truth Evolution.
So,
but if
people can come to Exopolitics TV then.
Yeah, they can come to Exopolitics TV. I'm also going to be doing a series of things with Robert Morningstar of UFO Digest. I've got some
Good.
things coming up. I'm working with Carrie Cassie on Project Camelot. But if people want to contact me, they can on my email, which is ute2011 at hotmail.com.
Excellent.
And I have an email list that I give updates of stuff that I'm doing. So you can go on there and request it. I can put you on my basically email update list.
Thank you very much, Aaron. We really appreciate your your coming to us, and we deeply appreciate the work that you're doing. And
Thanks.
this is Exopolitics TV, and thank you, Aaron McCollum.
Thanks, Alfred.